Let's have a look. Yes, we're recording. Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to dive straight into today's training. This is this is going to sound like a really deep training. So to do this in 10 minutes is an awesome challenge for myself. But I think or everyone that's watching this live or on the replay is quite advanced and has really dived into this work in a way. I just feel so proud of you all. I feel really confident in your abilities, and I feel like I can just get into this stuff. I feel like we can do this deeper work. We can, really kind of fast track your results, and a lot of that will come from this big question, this big, deep question. It's like the biggest question we can ever really ask ourselves, which is, who am I? Who am I? Like, is that not the biggest question we can ask ourselves? Like, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? All this kind of deep stuff, right? Really deep stuff. Now, how does this relate to your body transformation journey? Well, it relates to your body transformation journey in the sense of being able to trust yourself. Being able to trust yourself and being able to trust who you are, what you represent in this world, and who you are being. And what else speaks volumes about who you are than your body? Your body is like a walking billboard, a walking advertisement. It's your marketing. And I'm not even talking about, regardless if you're an entrepreneur, if you're self-employed, or, your body, your physical, the manifested physical version of you is who you show yourself to be to the world before anything else has come before you. Even before, this is debatable, I guess, maybe even before your energy, right? Like, we have our energy and people can feel our energy, but that all has to do with, how we look. We're physical beings. Now, this isn't in a shallow way. This is actually in a very deep, fundamental way. So trust yourself. Why do you need to trust yourself on this journey? Why can it feel so hard to trust ourselves? And why do we find it specifically harder to trust ourselves than we do to trust other people even, right? Have you found that? Like, if you made a promise to someone, if you told somebody that you would do something for them, if you promised somebody in your family, maybe even if you're a mom, if you have children, if you promised something to your children, if you told your boss you would get something done, if you made a commitment to anyone that's important to you in your life, I'm sure you would do everything in your power to stick to that. Yeah? Like, is that true? Give me a high five, a yes. Like, would you, if you committed to something, if you told somebody you'd do it, would they trust you? Are you the kind of woman that, can someone trust you on your word? That if you said you would be somewhere at this time, maybe you might be late. If you're an optimist like me, I always try and get so much done. So I'm often running late. But if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I am a woman of my word. Yes, Mango says, yes, they would trust me. So what happens when Tiffany, I keep my word? Awesome. So what happens when it comes to trusting ourselves, when it comes to our personal integrity, when we make a promise to ourselves, like something like, let's say this topic maybe would be topical for us right now. Let's say I say to myself, Sarah, you are going to go to bed this week every night at 10 p.m. or before 10 p.m. So I make this promise to myself. I tell myself I'm going to do it. Or if I say to myself, Sarah, you're not going to eat any sugar this week. You're going to do the 5 pounds challenge, and you're not going to have any sugar. You're not going to eat biscuits. You're not going to eat whatever. You get the idea. Why do we treat our promises to ourselves differently to the promises that we make other people? Why do we expect other people to trust us when we give them our word, when we say that we're going to do something, yet we fundamentally find it hard to trust ourselves when we promise ourselves something, when we say we're going to do something. Is this making sense? Like, can you relate to this idea? Like, is it harder to follow through on something that you've promised yourself than it would be to follow through when you've promised it to another person? Right? So trusting yourself is important. Trusting yourself and being in alignment. This is what we're going to talk about today. Being in alignment to your actions representing your desires. Yeah? So this is what I desire, and this is the way that I'm behaving. And if you don't have your desires, if they haven't manifested yet, you know, I'm not a big manifesting queen. By manifesting, I just mean they haven't physically appeared, you know, it is not your reality yet. If the things that you say you desire are not here yet, then there is some gap between what you say you want and your actions, okay? Tiffany says, let me just move this over, I can read. Perhaps because we care what others think, but already know what we think about ourselves. So that's a great point, Tiffany. And, you know, this comes down to the whole idea of what we believe about ourselves, right? Of who we believe we are. So, you know, we believe that we are somebody who sticks to their word when we make that promise to someone else because, you know, they believe we're a good person and we know we're a good person. But somehow along the way, we come out of alignment with ourselves. We break so many promises to ourselves. You know, if you were with a partner, a man, or who, you know, any kind of partner in your life that kept breaking his promise to you, he kept saying he would do this and then he doesn't do it and he doesn't do it and he doesn't do it, eventually you would stop trusting him, wouldn't you? You would become a bit, you know, despondent. You would be like, yeah, you say you're going to do this, but you never actually do it. Yeah? Can you relate to that feeling? You know, someone that promises something to you, someone that says, and even if they, you know, they really mean it, they don't just say it, they really mean it, but they don't do it. So when we go through our lives, so when we think about our bodies and we go through our lives making promises to ourselves, and, you know, I use the word promise loosely. I mean, for me, my word is a promise. I never say I promise to my kids. Like, if I say it, I mean it. I don't need to promise. So when we promise to ourselves, when we tell ourselves we're going to do something and we don't follow through, we're creating this spiral, this negative feedback loop. Now, most women that I work with have been creating this negative feedback loop for so long, i.e., I am going to do this, they don't do it. The feedback loop in the brain is, I cannot trust myself. I cannot trust myself. I cannot trust myself because when I tell myself I am going to do something and I don't stick to it, I am reinforcing this loop of I cannot trust myself. So one of the biggest things that I learned in my own personal body transformation journey, that one of the biggest ways I could rebuild my fundamental identity and belief in myself was through my physical body. Not because I wanted my body to look more beautiful, not because I wanted to age in health and, you know, have energy and run around with my kids and, you know, hopefully look younger or, you know, preserve my youthfulness as I get older. But I actually realized that this was a way of me proving to myself that I am who I say I am. I am a woman of my word and I can trust myself. Wango says, oh God, I've been with someone who did that and it was so infuriating to think I've been doing it to myself. Right, you know? And this is a short training, so I'm going to be a bit blunt, going to be a bit to the point. Go away and, work on this stuff after today. If it brings up some things for you, post in the group, because I'm going to kind of skip through it. But this is deep shit. This is heavy stuff. This is fundamentally the question, who am I? What kind of woman all comes from the gap between who you are being and what you say you want. And when who you are being and your desires do not match up, you get this fundamental fall down in everything else in your life. So building a trust in yourself through your physical transformation is one of the most powerful things that you will experience if you allow yourself to do this. If you allow yourself to begin to open up to the possibility of, hang on a minute, am I being who I say I am? Am I showing this to the world? Not because I want the world to see that I have a fucking amazing body. Oh my God, I said I wasn't going to swear in this program. That's twice now. Beep, beep, money in the swear box. Turn off, take your children to another room. It's one of those days. You have to, this is deep stuff, right? This is deep stuff, and we have to work through this at a really fundamental level. But if you can do this part of the work, it will open you up in a way that you never, ever imagined, not because of the way you look, but because of the way that you feel inside. And when you can deeply trust yourself to be who you say you are and you want to be, that feeling is unlike anything else. It really is. So how do we do that? So here's the things that, as much as we can cover in a 10-minute training, here's the things that I want you to consider. And this goes back to the Who Am I and the Enhanced Character activity, which are on the membership sites, and make sure that you've done those activities. And even if you've done them, go back and revise them, go through it again. You can tweak this stuff. I'm all for, nothing is black and white. You can go back and tweak it. But one of the things that you need to do is have boundaries. Right? Have boundaries on your journey. What do these boundaries look like? These boundaries might be, so for example, and I'm not suggesting you do this, these are just ideas off the top of my head. It may be, I only drink in social situations. I only drink outside of my house. I do not buy alcohol to sit in my home with a bottle of wine to consume on my own. That could be a boundary, that could be a deal that you have with yourself. I do this. Maybe you have boundaries around whether you feel socially pressured to eat, whether you feel socially pressured to behave how the people around you are behaving. I remember when I started this side of my body journey, so 4 years ago when Santi was a baby, and I was out with my mummy friends, we used to go to coffee shops and hang out and say how tired we were. We were mums to little babies. We were very tired. We'd go and we'd chat. And when I got really serious about changing my body, because I was tired and I was frustrated with my flabby tummy, and I was newly single again, and I just didn't want to keep being that woman anymore. I was really ready to take myself seriously and, have fun with it, but also take myself and take my word very seriously. So I kept going to these mummy get-togethers, and I kept going to the coffee shops, but I would take my own stuff. I would take Tupperware. I would take chicken and rice and vegetables, and I would have green tea, when I went dairy-free for a while, and I gave up coffee and all kinds of things. So, and do you know the hardest thing about those moments for me was sticking to my boundaries, because I got criticized by these women. I got joked about. I got a lot of negativity, right? Because when you hold a mirror up, when your behavior becomes a mirror for everyone else around you, there will be friends, you know, if you can call them that, there will be women and people around you that will feel uncomfortable at your level of commitment to yourself, at your desire to be better, your desire and your determination and your consistency and your kindness towards yourself. That will be very uncomfortable for those people around you that say, eat the cake, eat the cake. We all know those people, right? Have another glass of wine. Come on, Sarah, have another glass of wine. Does that person have my best interest at heart because they think I really need another glass of wine? Or does she just want to make herself feel better about her wanting to drink her stress away? Yeah. So I became very aware of my boundaries, especially in social situations where I felt that people were going to try and push me into doing behaviors that no longer aligned to the woman that I was becoming. And when I was on my fitness journey last year for my competition, I had no expectation that men, when I was dating, would understand this. Like, I had no requirement for their approval. When I went out for dinner with them, and they knew that I was, you know, the ones that knew that I was training to be in this, they would ask me, you know, what can you eat? What can you eat? Where can I take you? And I would say, hey, look, I'm really flexible. I love my food. As long as I can get protein and veg, I'll go anywhere. Like, you know, take me anywhere. And so many of them stepped up and took me to amazing steak restaurants and, you know, amazing places where I could eat food that, you know, fitted into my protein and veg. And did I feel uncomfortable if I chose not to have alcohol on those dates? No, because I had my boundaries and I was very, very comfortable with why I had those boundaries in place and the times when I was able to relax them as well, right? So were the times that I had a gin and tonic after dinner? Yeah. You know, were the times when I had chips with my steak when I was eating low carb? Yeah, of course, right? But I was very firm in who I am and the person that I was becoming. But in the beginning, it's not easy. Or it can feel uncomfortable, right? Can you relate to this? Like having people in social situations push your boundaries. So when this happens, one way for us to begin to get more comfortable, maybe having boundaries is a step too far. Maybe I don't even know what those boundaries look like right now. Like, what do these boundaries look like around like my body transformation journey and the, you know, how I feel about my physical body? We can look at our limiting beliefs. Yeah, we can look at our limiting beliefs, like how many times have you told yourself something like, I'm the kind of person that once I eat a packet of chips, that's it, I have to eat all of them. All of them. Yeah. Or have you ever told yourself, oh, I can't have junk food in the house, like I can't have cookies, or I can't have, you know, I'm the kind of woman that if I have it in my house, in my cupboard, you know, I have to eat it. If I know it's there, I have to eat it. Who said things like that? Me. Me. I had all kinds of limiting beliefs about what I was capable of, the kind of woman that I was. You know, I was this kind of woman. Did I choose to be that woman? Right? Did I choose to be a woman that could not open a packet of chips and just have, you know, a handful? Or how did I create that identity for myself? Why did I choose that? And what makes you have to keep choosing that woman? Okay? Because you get to choose. And I know that you all know this already. I know that you've all done deeper work on yourselves. I know that you understand these concepts. You can choose what you believe about yourself. And remember, the votes that you make, the small little votes, the changes to your habits will be the evidence to complete that feedback loop. So we break that feedback loop from being one of negativity, of I am not a person that does what they say they're going to do, to one where we start to build trust in ourselves. It's a journey, right? It's a process. You don't just wake up one day and say, I don't have these limiting beliefs about myself anymore. If that person that was always abusing your trust really changed and really wanted to show you that they'd changed, they would have to earn your trust over time, right? They would have to earn that. So you are worthy. You are worthy of your love. You are worthy of your trust, but you also need to respect your timeline and your journey and know that over time, the trust that you build in yourself will get stronger and stronger and stronger the more that you do the behaviors that will create the positive feedback loop, so that you will know deep down you can really, really trust yourself. Like, totally trust yourself. Tiffany says, there's 2 chocolate bars in my pantry. I've been sitting there since Easter. Yay! Right? We can do that. We can be whoever we want to be. So when you are doing your enhanced character, you know, who is that woman, Tiffany? You know, Tiffany, the enhanced Tiffany is a Tiffany that, you know, she can have chocolate in her pantry. And that's totally cool. Tiffany feels so relaxed around those foods because she, you know, she trusts herself. So just to wrap up before I open up the lines for any questions you might have, here's what happens when we are putting into place new boundaries, when we are shifting our identity and our beliefs about ourselves. Sometimes we can take it too far. So sometimes this happens. So for example, when I first learned about feminine energy and leaning back in relationships, leaning back, especially in the dating process, you know, I was so leant back, I was like falling off my chair. You know, I was like, I can do this leaning back stuff, you know, sitting there just waiting for the guy to say something interesting, letting him lead, doing all this stuff. Like, I know, you know, some people might say you can not lean back too much, you know, you can never lean back too much, but there comes a point where we take things too literally, right? There comes a point where we're learning new stuff, we're trying on new behaviors, and we might do them to the extreme. So in the body transformation world, that might look like, okay, I'm not drinking for 6 weeks. I'm not drinking for, this feels great. I'm not drinking for 3 months. Hey, I'm never drinking again. Okay. So I want you to be aware, and there's no right or wrong with this. I just want this to be in your zone of awareness, that sometimes we need to calibrate. Yeah. Do you know what I mean by calibrate? Like sometimes, you know, like a printer, I don't know if you've ever seen a printer calibrate, but when a printer calibrates, it kind of spits out all the ink onto the paper in different places, like this. And then you get the piece of paper out of the printer and it has all of these jagged lines everywhere, like zzz. And then the lens, the camera inside the printer, looks at all these pieces of ink and it tries to find which one is most aligned, which one is the straightest. And then it will readjust its ink heads, the ink cartridges, so that it starts printing in alignment. Yeah. So when I finished my fitness competition in November last year, I was so used to those behaviors. I was so used to the discipline that I developed with my training and with my food. You know, that was who I was. It was my new identity. This was now, you know, this was the Sarah. This is the woman that I was. I would go out to a restaurant and I would have, you know, my veg and my protein, and I would rarely drink, and you know, it was kind of quite an extreme way of being. And then as I gradually relaxed up until, you know, March, April time of this year, this month just gone, I kind of went back the other way a little bit. And I went on holiday, I went to Morocco, and it was all inclusive. And I was like, okay, I trust myself so much. I'm going to try every single pudding. I am going to eat whatever I want for breakfast, as long as I've had like my eggs and some protein, like, and you know, I'm still healthy. I love my healthy food, but I trust myself. I'm going to have all this other stuff. And this was me calibrating. Does that make sense? This was me trying out different ends of the spectrum. Okay, what happens if I'm not quite so lean back? You know, what happens if I What happens if I'm a bit more, forward? What if I do this? What if I do that? So the beauty of when you trust yourself is that you are able to try things out. You're able to experiment. You don't have to be so rigid in your thinking, because when you have when you have boundaries in place, when you have tools and strategies, and you can feel safe, like me, I felt so safe eating all that food. Like, yeah, I'm not over the moon that I put on a bit of weight, but I feel so safe inside because I know what to do to change it. I trust myself, and there's no fear there. Okay, there's no fear around these behaviors. So remember that it's okay to not always do everything one way or the other. We just need small votes, and we just need a majority of votes. That's how a vote works. And sometimes we have to try things out. Okay, so don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to experiment, to see how things feel, to work within the guidelines that I'm giving you, that will hopefully create an environment where you can feel safe here, and then begin to go and build on that for yourself in your own unique way and find out what really works for you. There's my printer calibrating its colors. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. I hope that was useful for everyone. Does anyone have a question today and would like to come on and